Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity, and as the author of a book on migraines and epilepsy, this particular study really just resonates with what I've been promoting for over a decade now. And we've known for a time that people with newly diagnosed with autism or with Alzheimer's have an increased risk of developing seizures. That relationship is pretty strong. And there are some concerns with things like amyloid plaques and neurofibrillary tangles causing seizures. So the question was always, were they just a shared mechanism, or was one potentially causing the other? This particular study looked at, used MRI to kind of look at the brain, and their determination was that it was causal, that it's bidirectional. So Alzheimer's causes seizures, seizures leads to brain deterioration, and later cognitive decline and Alzheimer's. This is what I've been saying for a long time, is that just because, and quite frankly, migraines fall under this, like true migraines fall under the same category, but if all you're doing is controlling the symptoms and not fixing the problem, so you're taking anti-epileptic drugs, high enough dosages to numb down the cells so they don't communicate with one another, you haven't fixed the problem, you're just numbing the brain. And the same thing with migraines and pain control. Even the new CGRP, calcitonin gene-related peptide drugs, they're not fixing the problem. And the problem that centers around most brain problems is mitochondrial dysfunction. That powerhouse of the cell. If we can protect the mitochondria, we can protect our brain against migraines, against seizures, against Alzheimer's, cognitive decline, Parkinson's, all of those things. And so it should come as no surprise that whether the authors call these causal, they have a shared mechanism, so it totally makes sense that these would be related. So what do we do? So we have to stop doing things that harm the mitochondria, that are things like smoking, sedentary lifestyle, high blood pressure, different or metabolic syndrome. Probably the number one destroying life aspect we have is prediabetes and diabetes. That poor relationship with sugar handling is really the downfall of many people's brain problems. So we have to stop harming. And then on the flip side, things that help our mitochondria, things like exercise, things like certain nutrients like magnesium or vitamin D, certain antioxidants like melatonin is a pretty potent antioxidant in the brain. Other coenzyme Q10, vitamin E, specifically the mixed carotenoids. I've talked about that before, and magnesium, the magnesium threonate form is probably best for the brain. Anytime you look at things that harm the mitochondria, they increase the risk of Alzheimer's and migraines and epilepsy. Anytime you do things that protect the mitochondria, you lower the risk of all of those brain-related conditions. Pretty simple, but this is not a common concept that's promoted in mainstream neurology or even primary care practices for protecting the brain. As always, I'll post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.